I feel like the comment that I made a lot of people upset, a lot of Islam fans upset. But really what I was trying to do was I was trying to translate for Nate to the Russians.
Like 3 fights, you know what I'm saying? 3 title fights.
He's talking about with Islam. He's saying that he's a little new in the sport still.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do before.
But he has a big future. He got a big future.
Jon Jones clarifies comments on Islam Makhachev. Amid fan backlash, Jon Jones recently addressed the controversy surrounding his remarks about lightweight champion Islam Makhachev, which drew criticism from MMA fans. The comments surfaced after Jones was seen in conversation with Nate Diaz, where the two discussed Islam's rise in the UFC. While Jones acknowledged Makhachev's talent and impressive winning streak, his description of Islam as a newcomer in the sport didn't sit well with many fans, who felt the label downplayed Islam's accomplishments. Nate Diaz, also part of the conversation, showed support for Makhachev, noting that he's a solid fighter with great potential. However, Diaz added that Makhachev still has room to grow, emphasizing the importance of evolving with every bout and learning from past experiences.
Like 3 fights, you know what I'm saying? 3 title fights.
He's talking about with Islam. He's saying that he's a little new in the sport still.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to do before.
But he has a big future. He got a big future.
Big future, but I think that same Habib career not long.
Yeah, not very long.
Yeah, just start the pressure just to make the fight jump. So it's not a lot. You know, you kept on keeping on, and I still are.
I feel like
Wow, how's this even arguing?
the longer you're on top, the more time your opponents get to study your footage. People fixate on fighting you instead of the next opponent.
And you're starting.
Yeah, it gets harder and harder the longer you stick around, we get older.
And then they're yelling at you, and you're like, you know, you're starting than me. So it's like, why are you even talking? I'm not like that.
Jon Jones responds to backlash over Islam. Makhachev comments, following his earlier remarks. Jon Jones faced significant backlash from fans of Islam Makhachev, many of whom felt his words were dismissive. In response, Jones posted a video clarifying the situation. The UFC heavyweight champion acknowledged that his comments upset a number of Makhachev's supporters, but insisted that creating controversy was never his intent. Jones explained that, during his conversation with Nate Diaz, he was merely trying to interpret Diaz's words for Russian-speaking audiences. "I was just trying to make sure everyone understood what Nate was trying to say," Jones clarified. There was no disrespect intended toward Islam or his fans.
I feel like the comment that I made a lot of people upset, a lot of Islam fans upset. But really what I was trying to do is I was trying to translate for Nate to the Russians. Nate speaks in a very laid-back way. He speaks with a lot of slang, and if you're not American, it may be hard to understand what he was saying. So I was really just trying to translate for
Jon Jones also addressed the criticism further, saying that even if his comment about Islam Makhachev being a newcomer had been intentional, it shouldn't have caused such a stir. As a veteran of the sport with years of experience at the highest level, Jones believes he's earned the right to share his perspective. From his point of view, comparing careers, Makhachev is still relatively early in his journey, especially when measured against Jones's long and decorated tenure in MMA.
Me saying that Islam is an up-and-coming fighter, when it's coming from me, I can say that. Not many people can say that. I can't.
On the other side, Islam Makhachev has remained silent regarding Jon Jones's remarks. Rather than getting involved in the discussion, Makhachev is fully focused on his upcoming bout against Jack Della Maddalena, where he aims to secure his second UFC title. Jack Della Maddalena recently shared his perspective on facing Islam Makhachev, describing him as a more polished version of Bilal Muhammad. While acknowledging that Makhachev currently holds the top spot in the pound-for-pound rankings and poses a significant threat, Maddalena suggested that Islam's more conventional striking style may offer openings that are easier to anticipate, compared to Bilal's approach. Jack mentioned that he's closely reviewing Islam's previous fights to craft an effective game plan. A key part of his preparation, he said, will be training to neutralize takedowns and improving his ability to return to his feet. Despite the tough test ahead, Madalena expressed confidence in his skills and determination to rise to the occasion.
I think Islam Makhachev is a better version of Bilal. I think his striking on the feet is the striking on the feet. I think it's easier than Bilal because he'll stay in one stance. He's more traditional style. But yeah, he's the pound for pound number one. So it's a tough fight. But I guess we'll watch all his fights again, make a solid game plan, and then just start working at it. From pretty much now, I'm going to start working on ways to beat him, different ways to get back to my feet, stuffing the takedown. But I'm pretty confident I can get this one done.
Jack Della Maddalena has revealed that he intends to consult fellow Australian and former UFC champion Alexander Volkanovski as part of his preparation to face Islam Makhachev. Having spent time with Volkanovski after Islam's last couple of fights, Jack views him as a valuable source of insight. He noted that one of his first steps in getting ready for the bout will be meeting with Volkanovski to gain perspective on what it's like to share the octagon with Makhachev and to pick up any strategic tips that could help him in the matchup.
He's obviously fought him before.
Yep.
Will you pick Volk's brain?
Yeah, 100%. I definitely plan. After the last two fights, I've spent a bit of time in Wollongong. So yeah, I think probably the first stop, we go to Wollongong, talk to Volk, see what he reckons.
While Islam Makhachev stays committed to his goals, he has come under fire from some notable voices in the MMA world, including former UFC star Chael Sonnen. Sonnen took issue with Makhachev's decision to move up to the welterweight division, suggesting it wasn't a move driven by ambition, but rather an attempt to sidestep a matchup with Belal Muhammad. Sonnen criticized the choice, stating that a true champion doesn't avoid top-tier opponents when switching weight classes. He contrasted Islam's decision with Ilia Topuria's willingness to pursue a super fight by potentially leaving his own division, arguing that Makhachev seemed to be avoiding high-risk challenges rather than embracing them.
Islam went up not out of courage. Islam did not go up out of adding hardware to put on his mantle. He went up with one condition, which is I don't have to fight Belal Muhammad. Now, he can sit around and say, I could beat Belal, and I wouldn't go up and beat Belal because I can beat Belal. The bottom line is you entered a division openly that you said you wouldn't face one of the top guys. That's not a sign of courage. That's a sign of cowardice. I don't love the idea. You have an undefeated. Make sure you understand what happened. I know this is your friend, DC. I think of Islam as my friend too. But let's think of what happened. You have an undefeated, #1 ranked world champion who's chasing you down. He is willing to leave his division behind. He's willing to walk away from his belt to chase you down. You are so interested in getting away from this guy that you not only leave your belt, you leave your division, and the whole thing is only contingent that you don't have to fight Islam. Not for nothing. This is not the way champions conduct themselves.
Daniel Cormier offered a different take on the criticism directed at Islam Makhachev, firmly disagreeing with Chael Sonnen's accusations. Cormier argued that Islam's choice to compete at welterweight shouldn't be seen as avoidance, but rather as a rare moment where Makhachev prioritized his own aspirations over public expectations. He highlighted that Makhachev has repeatedly shown his willingness to face elite competition, often accepting high-risk bouts on short notice. In Cormier's view, questioning Islam's bravery is unfair, considering everything he's already accomplished in the sport. He sees this move as a natural progression in Makhachev's journey, not a retreat.
That's where I disagree with my boy Chael. I love Chael, and we have a lot of fun on our show. But you can't call someone or say they have that type of behavior when they're doing that. And they've defended the belt multiple times. They've fought people on short notice. They've fought people coming up in weight class. They've done just about everything they can to show that they're willing to lay it on the line. We always talk about step on the line, step on the line, step on the line. Steps on the line every single time. This is the first time that Islam has honestly put his wishes above what everybody else wants. Because when everybody else wanted him to fight Volk, he did it. When everybody was looking for him to fight Arman, and Arman couldn't, well, fight this guy who's number 5, Moicano. Dangerous, no training camp. He did it on a day's notice. He's always done it. So to say that it wasn't a great move in that regard, I don't agree.
Daniel Cormier continued to defend Islam Makhachev, challenging the notion that the move to welterweight is anything new or questionable. According to Cormier, Islam has long considered moving up a weight class, and this decision shouldn't come as a surprise. He also highlighted the inconsistency in how fans view Makhachev, often accusing him of having an unfair size advantage at lightweight, yet criticizing him now that he's stepping into a division that arguably suits his natural frame better. Cormier emphasized that facing someone like Jack Della Maddalena is no small task and proves that Islam isn't looking for an easier path. He's stepping into one of the most competitive divisions in the UFC.
Here's where I disagree with Chael. He had been having his eyes on 170.
I'm not gonna leave this sport without second thought.
There isn't something new that Makhachev was talking about. And how about the fact that people constantly call you Islam, they called me, or anyone that cuts weight bullies? What about now that he's going up and he's gonna fight in a weight class that most of you say is more suited for his size? Well, he's so good only because he cuts so much weight. If he weighs that much, he should do well against those people that are much smaller than him. How about now? Jack Della Maddalena is as tough as anyone in the UFC.
Daniel Cormier also offered his thoughts on the upcoming bout between Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena, describing it as an intriguing clash of skill sets. He complimented Jack's all-around showing in his previous fight against Belal Muhammad, suggesting he's a well-prepared and dangerous opponent. Cormier pointed out that Makhachev might benefit from competing at welterweight, as he won't be drained by a difficult weight cut. He added that a key factor in the fight will be whether Jack can successfully defend against Islam's takedowns. If Della Maddalena can neutralize the grappling threat, Cormier believes the matchup becomes significantly more balanced and competitive.
Islam and Jack Della Maddalena is a great fight. Della Maddalena surprised me in this fight with Belal Muhammad. Like, he just showed that he's much better than people gave him credit for. So well-rounded, so skilled. Makhachev, though, bigger, will have an ability to not be cutting all the weight. He'll be more full. He'll be more like fresh. I'm interested. I think that it'll come down to the wrestling of Islam versus Jack's takedown defense, and how stingy is he going to be able to be with Islam? Because when Islam can take guys down early, they really struggle. The only time a fight even looks competitive is when they can defend takedowns and he spends large amounts of time on his feet, which he does really well.
Charles Oliveira shared his perspective on Islam Makhachev's decision to move up to welterweight, suggesting that the primary motivation was the toll of extreme weight cuts. Having witnessed Makhachev endure grueling weight cuts in the past, Oliveira believes that fighting at a higher weight will allow him to be physically stronger and perform with better endurance. He also acknowledged that Makhachev has been steadily evolving, with both his striking and grappling abilities showing noticeable improvement over time.
Do you think Islam's choice to move up and face Jack Della Maddalena is because he thinks it's an easier fight? Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's an easy fight, but it's easier than facing you or Topuria.
Look, I don't see it that way. I see the weight cut as the reason. I saw this a couple of times already. I've been at the same event as him and seen his weight cut. It's brutal, you know? At weigh-ins on Friday, I saw how drained he was. Many people said he was struggling to make weight. I think it's because he wants to be in better fight shape, you know? And to cut weight better, he decided to move up. I think he'll be a handful in this division. He will be much stronger. He's improving a lot on his feet, and his ground game is incredibly strong, so that will be a great fight. He's facing a tough guy who hits the body hard and moves well, as we saw in his fight against Belal, right? But that's how it is. To be a champ, you have to fight the best. That's how it is.
UFC welterweight veteran Matt Brown stepped up to defend Islam Makhachev against accusations that he's avoiding a potential bout with Ilia Topuria. According to Brown, those claims simply don't align with Makhachev's track record or mindset. He acknowledged that while some fighters might selectively choose opponents, Makhachev is clearly seeking out new and tougher challenges. Brown stressed that moving up a weight class for fresh opportunities is a legitimate and ambitious career decision, not a sign of avoidance.
Where in our history of knowing Islam Makhachev is there anywhere that says this guy's going to duck anybody? That's not who he is.
Those two words just don't go together, Islam and bucking. You know, it doesn't add up in any sense of the word. Like you said, there's certainly situations of guys quote unquote ducking, but you know, you kind of have to define what ducking is too, right? Like, are they going out of their way specifically to not fight a guy? You know, Islam's going for a bigger opportunity. Like, I don't think that's ducking in any definition of the word that you can muster up.
Veteran UFC fighter Matt Brown addressed the criticism aimed at Islam Makhachev, saying most of it comes from emotional or misinformed fans who don't understand the business side of MMA. Brown made it clear that Makhachev has never shown signs of ducking anyone, and would even be open to competing at middleweight or light heavyweight if the right opportunity came along. For Brown, Islam's mindset is all about growth, competition, and challenging himself. not avoidance.
There's also the business side. You know, when people talk about this ducking stuff, there's the business aspect of it. You know, that's just, you know, the redneck fans talking, you know, or the Reddit fans too, right? The opposite of redneck fans. But you know, the people like to say all kinds of things and make it more dramatic than it actually is. You know, like Islam, I don't see a single ounce of ducking in him anywhere. I think he would fight at 85 or 205 if he got the opportunity.
UFC veteran Matt Brown stood by Islam Makhachev's choice to move up in weight and face Jack Della Maddalena, firmly dismissing any idea that Islam is dodging Ilia Topuria. Brown explained that while Topuria may possess greater raw power for his size, Della Maddalena brings elite striking technique and precision, making him just as much of a threat, if not more. He added that it's illogical to suggest Makhachev is avoiding a smaller opponent only to step in with a larger, highly technical striker, saying that Islam is clearly aiming for real challenges, not avoiding them.
As a matter of fact, I would say Jack is probably even more technical than Ilia on the feet. You know, Ilia, pound for pound, I would argue probably has more power, but I would say Jack probably has more technique. So it's not a safer fight in any way at all. It's a very odd thing to say that he's ducking a smaller boxer to fight a bigger boxer.
Ian Gary gave his take on a possible showdown between Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena, saying it's a matchup that's tough to call. While he praised Makhachev's complete skill set and high fight IQ, Gary highlighted how moving up to welterweight could change the dynamics significantly. He noted that Jack is naturally larger than someone like Alexander Volkanovski, who still managed to push Makhachev to the limit. Gary believes that Jack's sharp boxing and strong takedown defense could be key assets, though he also acknowledged that Makhachev's experience and technical prowess might still give him the edge.
Who do you think wins, Jack or Islam?
It's such a tough one to talk about. Islam is phenomenal. He's good everywhere. Size matters. When you're talking about an extra 15 pounds, when you look at the size of Volkanovski versus Jack Della Maddalena, there's a big size discrepancy. And Volk gave him a good fight. And then Dustin Poirier, it wasn't absolutely completely dominant by Islam. It was a tough fight. Size is going to play a huge part, even on the ground. I feel like Jack could get it done with just some clean boxing and good takedown defense. But I can absolutely see Islam coming in and doing what Islam does and going out there and just looks like the phenomenal mixed martial artist.
Paddy Pimblett expressed frustration over the UFC's move to strip Islam Makhachev of his lightweight championship. He questioned the fairness of the decision, especially considering Makhachev has defended the title multiple times and even accepted fights on short notice. Pimblett contrasted the situation with Jon Jones, who has remained champion despite a longer period of inactivity. He argued that Makhachev has earned the opportunity to chase a second title without having to give up the lightweight belt.
I didn't think they'd make Islam vacate. But if you're making Islam vacate, Jones needs to be stripped. You know what I mean? If you're making Islam vacate after 4 defenses, fighting people on short notice, you should let him try and be double champ.
Mateusz Gamrot commented on Islam Makhachev's decision to move up in weight, saying he wasn't shocked by it. Gamrot mentioned that after years competing at lightweight, the intense weight cuts had clearly taken a toll on Islam. He recalled seeing Makhachev look drained during past fight weeks. According to Gamrot, the move to welterweight is a smart one, allowing Islam to feel stronger and healthier. He also pointed out that just as Ilia Topuria stepped up for new opportunities, Islam is doing the same. Gamrot dismissed the idea that the move was about dodging Topuria.
Moved up and didn't fight Ilia next month.
No, I am not surprised. Like, Islam fought a long time in the lightweight division, and he cut a lot of weight to lightweight division. 2-3 times we fight the same card, so I saw him full fight week, how he looks. I think looks bad, you know, because too much cut weight. Of course, his performance cage was good, but full fight week he tried cut weight. So I think when he move up right now, this is gonna be better for his performance, and I think this is good idea for him. He need to do something fresh. Like Ilia go to up division because he need to something fresh. So I don't think that Islam running away from him, you know.
Robert Whitaker shared his thoughts on the upcoming clash between Jack Della Maddalena and Islam Makhachev, acknowledging the challenge ahead for Jack. He pointed out that Makhachev brings a more refined version of the skill set seen in Belal Muhammad: well-rounded grappling, pressure, and control. Despite that, Whitaker expressed confidence in Della Maddalena's unpredictable style and ability to rise to the occasion. He believes Jack has the X factor needed to pull off another surprise win, much like he did in his previous bouts against Gilbert Burns and Belal.
How do you feel about this fight with Islam?
I don't think it'll be an easy fight for Jack. Islam can do everything that Belal does, but way better. I thought Jack handedly had the fight, but it was a fight. But I believe in Jack. I think he's got that X factor. Just like with Belal, just like Burns before, I think he can do the impossible.
Gilbert. Burns believes Jack Della Maddalena is a legitimate threat to Islam Makhachev in their upcoming bout. While he respects Islam's decision to move up to welterweight and recognizes his standing as one of the sport's elite, Burns thinks the fight is far more competitive than it's being made out to be. He highlighted that Jack has been working with the same coaching team that assisted Alexander Volkanovski in his first outing against Islam, experience that could offer a strategic edge. Though Burns hasn't fully analyzed the matchup yet, he's convinced that Jack is coming in far more prepared than many expect.
Yeah, I like him moving up. Proving himself. He's #1 pound for pound right now. It's a good fight. Jack and Islam closer than people think, especially with Jack Della Maddalena doing a lot of training with Volk, with Craig Jones, those guys that kind of crack the Islam on that first Volk fight. I think they're going to have a lot of info, a lot of study, a lot of answers. It's closer than people think, this fight. I really like this fight. I don't have time right now. I didn't have time to dig deep a little too much on that fight, but I think it's way closer than people think. And JDM has a clear shot on beating Islam. You know?
As anticipation builds for the clash between Islam Makhachev and Jack Della Maddalena, opinions in the MMA world remain sharply divided. Although Jon Jones's recent comments stirred debate, the spotlight now returns to the fighters and what's at stake inside the cage. This isn't just another bout defined by weight divisions or championship belts. It's a battle for legacy, for proving greatness, and for answering the questions surrounding each man's place at the top. Whether fans are backing Islam's dominance or betting on Jack's momentum, this fight is shaping up to be one of the most exciting showdowns in recent UFC history. Don't blink.